So we'll come in and I'm going to just invite the audience, the listeners, everyone close your eyes. Whether you're driving, doesn't matter. Close your eyes right where you are. It is January 2019 and you are a millennial interested in a movie based around someone you've known about for most of your life. You know, the one about the boy who rises to fame amidst difficult expectations and complex and abusive relationships with the adults around him. Oops, you must be thinking I'm talking about The Kid Who Would Be King. I'm not. I'm referring to the semi-biopic Honey Boy, written by and starring Shia LaBeouf, but also the narrative directorial debut of Alma Har'el.
Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy.
Wow. Bravo. I think that was your best one yet, Matt.
Yeah. I think we need Three Films ASMR. Maybe that's what we need.
Yeah.
Hold off on OnlyFans. Let's just start an ASMR.
Well, I did it in one take, so I have that going for me. But no, we're here to talk Honey Boy, and as always, we have Tyler Beck, who is where?
I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, still. For
Still
the time
in Salt
being.
Lake.
Maybe
Happy
like
to keep
3
you.
more episodes. Yeah.
We'll keep you as long as we can. And then, as always, we also have Ben Lawhorn up in Salt Lake City.
Here for the foreseeable future.
That was more vague than usual.
Yeah, exactly.
A little cryptic. That's a
Little
little
cryptic.
For those new listening, we are Three Films and a Podcast. We are three folks challenging each other and all of you to watch movies you've never seen before. You can find us anywhere you can listen to podcasts or view podcasts, and you can find us on social media at Three Films Pod. And today we are excited to have John from Life's But a Song podcast. Hey, John.
Hello. Hi there.
Hello.
Tell us about your pod.
Hello.
So actually, I have two podcasts. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Awesome.
Great. I have one that started it all. It's called Movie Deja Vu. It's where my co-host and I compare two or more similar movies by creating like a verbal Venn diagram. And then from there, I branched off onto this solo project where Life's But a Song, where I bring a new guest in every episode to talk about either a musical, movie, or TV show of their choosing. And we just talk about our thoughts and feelings about the topic.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I listened to one of yours today. I was scrolling through to see which one I wanted to listen to, and then I saw you had a Waiting for Guffman episode. And I was like, not enough podcasts are talking about Waiting for Guffman, so I had to listen to it. It was very enjoyable.
Sometimes my guest picks a topic like that or Swiss Army Man, where we kind of challenge what a musical is.
Yeah.
And so I felt like with both of those, like with Waiting for Guffman, they are doing a show which kind of justifies a musical aspect. And then for Swiss Army Man, music is like a character for that movie. So it was like,
yeah, I thought it worked well. Yeah. I think the episode after was about Aladdin, Disney's Aladdin. So obviously like very traditional musical stuff. So I don't want to throw people off that it's all like not all musicals, but I was just very happy to see some Christopher Guest stuff on there. It's like I never see anyone talking about that. So I was very happy.
Especially that specific Christopher Guest movie. You know, Best in Show gets a lot of love and whatnot, but Waiting for Guffman is actually the first one I ever saw. And it's a gem, a total gem.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Totally.
Totally. Your guest said you watched it like once a month in college. Like, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds just about right. Yeah, that's perfect.
That's awesome. I guess I just want to introduce this. I guess I'm not really introducing. We've done one movie already with this particular round. But in looking into this movie, the director Alma Har'el, a small fact is that only 4% of the top 100 box office films are directed by women, and 80% of film critics are male.
Yes.
And so I can't remember who. I know it wasn't me, which of you, Ben or Tyler, who came up with this round. But I just wanted to, for this episode, speak to it. And I guess just talk about why we're here. with female directors?
Yeah, I mean, this was my round, and I think that's, I don't know, we've talked about it quite a bit. It was a reflection on our we did like an award ceremony for our 1 year anniversary, and we realized how many female leading roles that we didn't have in our movies. And that also just kind of expounded into like, oh, we talked about 3 directors specifically, but they were all just white dudes, straight white dudes, you know, as Kubrick and Spielberg and Hitchcock. It's like, I feel like we need to like kind of diversify some more. So the last round we did was Kurosawa, which was great. Before that, you know, to kick off season 2 or to kick off the year, we did like multiple female leads, which is where we talked about Last Night in Soho and Steel Magnolias and Beaches. And then I got thinking about the directors. I'm like, I think we should like focus on that as well. So that's kind of where it stemmed from. It's just like needing to make sure we're putting ourselves put in front of these movies, you know, because there's plenty of movies directed by guys. So it's I don't know, nice to not have to like seek it out so much anymore as you used to have to, you know, if you wanted to see a female directed film. But it's been a great round so far. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's like the whole point of the podcast, right? We were watching the same old stuff, and whether it was new movies, but just like from the same pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so even in the first season of the podcast, like you explained, we were making an effort to explore things we hadn't seen or experienced yet, but it was still from like the same stream. You know what I mean? We had to like take the left fork and see a different landscape. And so, that's what season 2 has been all about. And it's been an absolute blast. And we'll talk about it later, but I was going through a list like of, you know, all the best female directed movies. And I was like, a lot of my favorite movies are directed by females, and I didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like, I was actually shocked at some of the ones I found. I was like, oh shit, I've always loved that movie. I had no idea that a woman directed it. So it was like kind of an eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah. So I had my list of movies that I wanted to, I guess, nominate for this round. And it was cool because like on one hand, like there were a lot of films that I wanted to see that were directed by women.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that even with that list, like there's still that statistic, right? Like as big as this list is, like there's still just a great disparity. But anyway, Honey Boy it's been on my list for a while to watch. And so I just figured I was, you know, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Checking this out. I haven't seen any of Alma Har'el's work. And so it was great to, I guess, see that for the first time. But John, I want to hear about your first experience with this movie and sort of how you came upon it and your reaction.
So I watched it like an hour ago for the first time, and that I saw that you all posted, you know, like upcoming movies that you're looking for guests or episodes, and I immediately reached out and I was like, give me one. And you all said Honey Boy, and I went, cool. And so, but like this is a movie that I think, if I remember, it came out what, 2019, 2018?
Yeah, 2019.
Yep. Yeah.
2019. I did want to see it in theaters because I thought it was interesting. You know, the fact that like Shia LaBeouf, it's like his sort of autobiographical movie. And like, you know, that he's also playing his dad in a way. So it was like, I'm intrigued by this. And then, you know, being assigned to watch it, I was just like, oh, it doesn't feel like that much of a work because it's a great movie. And I actually looked up Alma Har'el, and she did a lot of like documentaries and music videos. And I feel like this is her first even feature.
I think that shows, that definitely shows. And like the way she put this film together, especially the music video aspect of it.
Like, the thing though that it was just so good. Like I don't know like the combination of his script and her vision, I think helped. Yeah. And the other thing too, I usually hate child actors, and this kid blew my mind away. Like he was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He was so good. He's another kid where it's like, you see them in the movie, I'm like, oh, they're great. And then you watch an interview, I'm like, he's fucking British. Like so they're all so good.
British?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Wow.
Like,
it was kind of weird because I never thought of Otis, like the character, as Shia. You know, I could see like I saw him as a character that went through the same journey as Shia.
Because I just watched like
John's
Come On,
mic.
Come On, and you know the little kid in that with Joaquin, and then like watch interviews. I'm like, what the fuck? Like they're all great. They're awesome, you know.
And like the moment that I realized he was a great actor was when he was in when he had that daydream where he was like, I need you to be a better father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While they were watching his show.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Dad's laying in bed, like at the motel or whatever. Right.
Yeah. And he started crying. I was like, is he really 12? Is he like a 20-year-old? Like, what's going on here?
No, he was so good.
And I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be filming Even Stevens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the idea that he's going, okay.
Yeah.
Because like the beginning is supposed to be Transformers, and then every time we see young Otis, he's in Even Stevens.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I kept waiting for a Beans cameo, but it never came. But it was all good, you know. That first shot we see when he's in Even Stevens and like floating back, he's got like the Hawaiian shirt on and the baggy cargo pants. I'm like, that is definitely Louis Stevens right there. Like it's exactly what they're going for, and I loved it.
I wish though she followed like the rule of threes, where they did a third take of that. So you had the explosion in the beginning and falling backward, the pie shot. I wish there was just one more just to satiate my appetite.
Yeah, that would have been really interesting. Yeah, I wonder what they would have done it on. Yeah,
but like I love that it was fantastical and realistic at the same time, and this is great. Thank you guys.
No, totally. Like you said, even the parallels there too, like with them like being pulled back, but then like having the harness on, we were like walking with them as they're going through like the set. Just so cool to see that, and it's a great way to meet Shia as his dad. You know, when he is the little kid, he's like, "Hey, will you help me with the harness?" And he's just in there like flirting with like, you know, script supervisor or something, you know, it's like, will you help me out? It's like, oh, okay, now we know who this guy is. Like, he's really just, you know, concerned for number one here. You know, it's just, it's kind of nuts. I loved the movie. I thought it was so good. I mean, it was just, again, I was talking about it with my girlfriend, like this must have been just so fucking therapeutic to write, you know, like, because this all came from his, I think his third DUI, and he had to go to rehab, and he was there, I think, for like 10 weeks or 8 weeks, something like that, and was writing it while he was in there, kind of dealing with like what he later found out to be PTSD. And they started filming like within 2 weeks of him getting out of rehab, which also blows my mind. Like they were already like, he was talking to Alma already while he was still there, kind of exchanging scripts.
Wow.
And apparently they filmed this in 19 days, which is amazing.
Wow.
I can't believe that. Less than 3 weeks. It's nuts. But I thought like everyone acted great. I honestly was skeptical going into it, like seeing Lucas Hedges play Shia. I was like, I don't know, man. Like I like Lucas Hedges. Like he's great. Mid-90s. Like I'm all here for him, but I just didn't see him as Shia. But once we hear him talk, it's like, oh, he's got it down. Like you could just show me a clip and not tell me what movie it's from, and I know like who he's trying to be, you know, or who he's acting as.
So where do we start?
I don't know, boss. You tell me. I'm obviously not equipped to make any decisions. I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex.
Let's try again.
How about I'm a professional schizophrenic? What do you want me to say? I'm a piece of shit.
I totally bought in after that. I was like, okay, cool. Yep, exactly. This is great. I don't know. It was just so well done. I think, you know, this being her first narrative film, we kind of see that, but I think that's also great. One of the great things about it. She's tried to like, she's able to explore like with the lighting and things like that you can't necessarily do with a documentary. So I really enjoyed the production value of it all. And yeah, just watching Shia like reenact what he went through as a kid, you know, in the role of, you know, kind of like his emotional abuser, like that was something else. And I think, you know, just to get it out there, obviously, like Shia is not, you know, has his own issues, you know, FK Twigs, who's in this film, accused him of, you know, abuse and things like that as well, which he has, I think, I don't know if he owned up to it, but, you know, he wrote his apologies, like I've hurt myself and others with my problems. So just want to make sure we bring that up. Like he's got his own issues as well, which has transpired to other people. But this film, for what it is, for him dealing with his PTSD and getting through the therapy and stuff like that, like it was so well done.
I was just a little confused about Otis's relationship with Shy Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like
I'm still not sure.
Did they sleep together?
I think what I read was that that was sort of a creative way to show sex scenes without having an underage kid involved.
Yeah.
in the scene.
Well, because
because they're playing that game, and so I read it as like each time they're playing, it's something else. It's how I perceived it.
Because like they meet in the laundry room and then all of a sudden they're cuddling at the pool and it's like, I miss something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of it's supposed to be just like, they've been here for a while. They, are the rooms from across from each other in the motel. So maybe now they're just connecting. But yeah, definitely like ramped up really quickly. But yeah, it did feel like maybe it's supposed to be like a way to show a sex scene without showing a sex scene.
Do we think that since it's funny that we watched these movies, the Honey Boy and whatever the movie last week was called,
The Lost
Daughter, in succession, because they're both flashback movies, right? They both they're both taking place a lot in the flashback. And Jonathan, I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Lost Daughter, but one of my biggest complaints is that the flashbacks and the storyline taking place in the present were given like equal screen time, almost like equal weight. So I appreciate the Honey Boy was more about the movie was actually the flashbacks, and then we go back to real time to kind of see him dealing with it, and then movies and the flashbacks. But I'm wondering if, since we're seeing Otis's flashbacks, if maybe that's just his like heightened memory of his relationship with this woman. Because I imagine being a 12-year-old kid living across from a woman that looks like that has an occupation that she does, and maybe just her any flirtation that she put towards him, and maybe she did come over and take care of him while his dad was out on a bender. Maybe he's remembering it in a way that was a little more sexual than it may have been. You know what I mean?
Or kind of like that lifeguard in The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Oh, Wendy Peppercorn. For sure.
Good old Wendy Peppercorn.
Yeah. where they're heightening sexuality, but it may not actually be real. Like that's the other thing too, where once you realize that like it's sort of a meta moment where like it's Shia LaBeouf writing the script, who's about a person writing a script about their past, where you don't know what's true really, because even in the whole movie, Otis is being called a liar.
Yeah.
So that whole sequence could be a lie to us.
Yeah, 100%. Is it a reliable narrator or not? It's kind of left up to interpretation. But yeah, the meta-ness of it was really interesting too, where he's like in therapy reading the scenes from the movie that we are now watching. It's just like, oh man, this is just like, I think we had like an Inception moment here. It's like, what layer are we at right now? It's like, this is crazy to watch how it all played out, but to know that they filmed within 2 weeks and wrapped up in 3, it's like, yeah, this is probably exactly how it went, at least as far as the recovery went.
And then even at the end where Otis dreams about talking to his dad, being like, I wrote a script about you, and the dad's like, make me look good.
I want to make a movie about you.
You're making a movie about me? Well, make me look good, honey boy.
I like that.
That line's funny because apparently Shia had to tell his dad that Mel Gibson was going to play him for him to like sign the release to like let him tell the story. So he just totally lied to his dad. And but I like that because you can tell like that probably really was who his dad is. He probably really was like, no, make me look good. Make Mel Gibson play me. Who I think it's interesting in today's day and age you would choose Mel Gibson to play you. I think that does say something about your character, but
it speaks volumes.
Please don't pick him. Don't pick him, anyone.
But I actually, just to echo a lot of what you guys have said already, I also finished the movie about 40 minutes ago, and I also loved it. I had kind of seen it before. My partner was watching it while I don't remember what I was doing. I was doing something else, and she put it on. And I watched it, and like I came in about halfway through. So I had seen bits and pieces and then the last half of it, but I didn't get to sit down and watch it. But sitting down and watching the whole thing all the way through and kind of just taking that sort of like dream trip, you know what I mean? It really did feel like just like you're kind of living in this like sort of fever dream, you know what I mean? It was just it was really beautiful, but in the way that's sad, kind of like it, sort of like Requiem for a Dream in some ways, like it's, you don't really like what you're watching, but it's presented in such a way that you just can't help but watch. And also you feel like the empathy for the characters, even his dad, like I thought it was cool that he showed that his dad wasn't just this opportunistic asshole. Like he was a man really dealing with his own things. I kept thinking of the Fleetwood Mac song, The Chain. Like you're just never going to break that chain. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's actually a good metaphor.
It just, I just really appreciated that, I'm sure that was a hard thing for Shia to do, to like, maybe even admit to himself and give his dad that credit. Like, I understand you were going through a lot of the same things I was going through, like not necessarily forgiving him, but like understanding him. I thought that was beautiful. And I just thought, just the story itself, the way it was presented, the way it was shot, I really do think that Alma's experience as a music video director really helped with a lot of like some of the dreamy sequences and a lot of the flashback stuff, and even the stuff in the present. Like in some ways, the stuff in the present almost felt more dreamlike than the stuff in the past, just because I don't really know. I can't exactly articulate why I feel that way, but it just kind of did feel, maybe because we spend less time in the present. So like, you're primed to think the stuff you see less of is the flashback, which would be the dream sequence. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like a weird mental flip in my head, but I really appreciated that touch from her. I thought she did a really good job of making things dreamy, but not dragging everything out too long. And like you spend just enough of time in each dream, and then you move forward and you keep moving forward until you get to the end and you find a little bit of catharsis. I thought it was really well done.
I thought it was really interesting that like this movie is centered around men. You've got Otis, James, and we'll say Tom as well. Sure. But then surrounding them are all women, like all secondary characters. Like you have the mom, you have the women next door, you have Shy Girl, you even have that one PA on the soundstage. Yeah, which I don't know what they're trying to say, but I thought it was very fascinating that was the case.
Yeah, definitely a choice. I thought it was good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have too much more to add. Like you guys, I watched this for the first time a few hours ago. So we're all in the same boat here. But the good thing about this movie was I feel like we watch a lot of movies and not all of them feel like that, book club type movie where there's a lot of symbolism and metaphor that you could like really dig into if you wanted to. And I think that speaks a lot to sort of what Alma Har'el brought to this picture with her visual storytelling. I don't know how much of the artistic side of it was collaborated with Shia LaBeouf. I'm not positive, but John, you talked about sort of the juxtaposition of the opening sequence and then the pie and wanting that third shot. But there's a lot of things that rhyme in this visually with the past and present. And there's also sort of just like cues from his past and the present with like the swimming pool, triggers. Triggers are a huge thing in this, where things just like trigger a memory from the present and dives into the past. You could spend a lot of time dissecting this movie. What I want to know is, since this is a roundabout female directors, what do you guys feel is, well, let's first start with like what we feel like, and we've sort of spoken to this already, but what did Alma Har'el bring to this picture that's unique to her as a director? And then what do you feel, because she's a female director, what did that bring to this picture? And let's kick it off with you, John.
Well, so I really haven't seen her music videos or anything else, so I can't really compare like visually, but like I feel like with the dream sequences and the fantastical sequences that happen in this movie, she brought like a childlike approach to it, which not a lot of male directors would do. So like, even when it, like, no matter how old Otis is, we've got that one moment where it's a very tender moment where he's explaining to him, like, I need you to be present. I need you to be a better dad. And that's when he's crying in the doorway, to even the ending where it's like the chicken leads older Otis back to the motel. And he has that moment with his dad in the clown getup. And it was just so beautiful and like innocent.
Yeah. I thought I thought it was really interesting. Like I listened to some of her interviews and stuff like that, and she talked about how we see a lot of movies about addicts, but we don't see them really through like the child of an addict. We don't get their POV. And that was something that she was like kind of interested in talking about. But there was a section 2 where she just kind of talked about the dualism, I guess, between the masculine and feminine in this movie, and how so many movies, like Matt talked about at the beginning, are directed by men. It's like we get a lot of stories written by men that are then directed by men, and they almost make them like mythologically amazing, where they're like better than they would have been or whatever. And she's like, we need more stories about women, but I think we also need more stories about men told by women, like directed by that, because it brings a different perspective to it. And I think that was a large part of it. Just like you said, kind of like the child aspect, child POV of an addict, just kind of being more in touch with who you are. They got into a big chat. There's actually like an official Honey Boy podcast, which is kind of interesting. It's like almost 3 hours of like a lot of the cast and crew, like just sitting down and talking. And Shia was, they're talking about like what's masculine and what's feminine. And he broke it down to say like masculine is essentially like a mountain. Like if you're, not looking at it, it's still there. It'll always be there. It's just like a reliable thing. That's what it is. Whereas the feminine is like the stuff that you, are kind of like hoping is going to be there, and that's like developing along the way. Then the masculine is boring. Like that's a boring story. We know all that stuff. Like it's the feminine side of these things that are so much more interesting. And that's what they like said they wanted to do with this. It's like, let's figure what this is along the way, who this person is and how they grow. And I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. I guess Shia wrote the script in a linear format. And it was Alma that was like, I think maybe there's enough parallels here, that we could kind of like go back and forth and use these as flashbacks, because this is a totally different movie if it's told linearly, if we're just like with him as a kid all the way up to the end. Like I think her decision to do that was just like, it's what made this movie what it is. So even just that perspective of just like, this might be more interesting to kind of like find out why the person is like they are in little moments, as opposed to just like all at once, which we were able to do here through the flashback. So I'm glad she took this on. I think this is a great, like you said, she's done music videos. I think she met Shia on one for Sigur Rós back in like 2012 or something like that. So that's kind of where they met up. But I think this was such a good narrative debut for her. And I just think her viewpoint on it really kind of made it what it is.
Yeah, that's really perceptive of her to find that in the story. And I mean, sometimes it takes like when you're working on a project, it does take an outside set of eyes to see that sort of thing, right? Because Shia would see it linearly because it's his life. He did experience it in that way. So a lot of times it does take someone else to see that. And John, you said something. You talked about the innocence of it, and I think I had a hard time answering this question at first. I couldn't really think of what exactly I thought that she added to it as a director, as a female, other than, obviously the stylistic choices she made and whatnot. But I do think when you mentioned the innocence of it, that's kind of what stuck out to me. And like the relationship with Shy Girl, I'm not sure it would have been the same had that been told by a man. I think it would have been a little bit more sexualized, and it might have been even more, it would have been maybe less tender. And as hard as it is to believe their relationship, maybe a little less believable. You know what I mean? Like, I think she had enough of an innocent touch on it that you could kind of buy that this is actually happening, or is at least plausible. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of the only thing I could really think of.
I also don't know who brought to the table not seeing the mom at all. Who's played by Natasha Lyonne.
I know, right?
What? I saw her on the credits. I was like, we did not see Natasha Lyonne at all. Like,
I would remember that.
Because like, I don't know how you guys, I can't watch movies anymore without subtitles these days. And so when I was watching it, like I know you can hear her, but like even the subtitles like had her, her dialogue there. And the fact that they cast Natasha Lyonne as a voice part that you don't really hear is ballsy. But like, I don't know if I don't want to give the wrong person credit. So I don't know if that's like how Shia wrote it or how Alma interpreted it.
Yeah.
So, I'll give them both credit for it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that scene up, because when you mentioned that's when you realize that this kid could act. For me, that was the moment when he's on the phone, when he instantly switched to a kid that's been doing this for years, doing this, like playing the man in the middle with the dad and the mom, and you know, it, like, to me, I was like, oh man, this kid's really bringing it. That's like, I believed it. I was like, oh, this kid's been living this life they've been in this motel room for way too long.
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay, and just repeat it. Okay, I can try. I have long ago forgiven you, James.
Who are you talking to?
But I'm not the one that had to jump out of a moving car.
Here we go.
So you didn't.
Here we go with this fucking victim shit. She does
Here
every
we
time
go
she
with
calls
this
up
fucking
here.
victim
She
shit.
goes on and on every time she fucking calls up here. Say it in the phone.
Every fucking time.
That
I mean, I don't want to say I believed him as an actor when it was that moment when he was crying. I want to, like, that was like a strong moment. That's another strong moment, and like that. I guess the rule of threes that we got from this is the third strong moment is when he like fucking curses out his dad. Sorry, Steve. And he's
there it is.
And he you know, says all that, and then Shia beats the shit out of him again. Sorry, Steve.
You only have to apologize once.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was after every time.
I like the every time thing.
It's nice, yeah.
Because, you know, that was a moment too where that must have been hard for Shia on set, because I want to believe something along that lines happened to him.
Yeah.
What, like, I don't know if it was actually, I didn't look up his relationship with his dad at all, but I don't know if it was ever that physical, but like, it could have happened, and that's really rough.
I'm going to try harder. We're going to start fresh right here, right now. Lesson number 1. All smart guys know if you can hit your boss once, then you can hit him twice. Don't talk to him about that.
Go away.
Gladly, pal.
It's very rough.
It wouldn't surprise me. I guess, before he reached out to his dad about this movie, like they hadn't spoken to each other in 7 years, which is just like kind of nuts, you know. But yeah, it was. I don't know, that scene specifically, Tyler, that you mentioned, that phone scene, was like, oh, this is not the first time this kid has done this. Yeah, that's fucking heartbreaking. It's terrifying to hear him have to do this. So yeah. Crazy.
The fact though that this movie got away with a child smoking is saying a lot.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Like, and it's not 1995. Like I know we are in 1995, but like this movie didn't come out in 1995, where it was kind of okay for kids to smoke then, but like now you have to like there's probably so many rules and things that they had to go through just to get him to like inhale that one cigarette.
I wonder if it's just because Shia's telling his own personal experience. He's like, this is my story about my life. I actually smoked. I wonder if that's kind of why it gets a pass. I didn't even think about that, to be honest, because to me, I'm just watching what this kid went through. So I'm like, he probably smoked when he was 10. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Well, because like even that scene where Shia, as the dad, rushes on stage to pull his kid off set and everything, and he's shouting child labor laws. I'm like, yes, but like, is he wrong?
Yeah, he's definitely not wrong.
He went about it the wrong way, but he's not wrong about child labor laws.
That was another one of those moments that I'm glad we saw, because as misguided as that might have been, I mean, here we are talking about a guy that he calls them horse trades with packs of cigarettes to get his kid to do stuff. And then he's pulling him off set because of child labor laws. But it's like, and maybe I just misread the scene, but it's like, at least we see that he has some idea of like sticking up for his kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Alma did a good job of, you know, and I mean, Shia writing this, like, his dad is not a straw man. Like, he is the guy that was trying to get him to work, trying to get something going, rehearsing with him, trying to get the best out of him. It seemed like the movie's giving his dad credit for coming with the nose flare, you know, that Shia's famous for. So like, and he even talks about it in the movie, like, my dad takes credit for everything, but it like shows him like, do the nose flare. It's good. It's good. People like that. And so, I mean, it's showing a very ugly picture, but it isn't showing just all bad, which I think brings a little bit more honesty to it, which kind of, Ben mentioned, like, if a man's directing this, there might have been more of that. There might have been less honesty in how ugly the picture really was. That I feel like Alma was able to tap into. I really liked reading that she was attracted to this project because of the PTSD element, which I thought was interesting. Because, I mean, we see PTSD story arcs in like TV and in movies, and they're very samey to me. It's like there's a Thrown in PTSD arc and they all feel sort of the same. It was interesting to see her like tell a PTSD story and like you're in the middle of it and it's not a PTSD story that you've really been a part of. I mean, we've seen abuse stories, and so there's those themes that we've experienced before, but even just some of the shots and the camera work and the symbolism felt very abusive. Yeah. And it was interesting to be thrown into those scenarios. Like some of those really high stress moments where the camera's a little shakier in those situations. Like, okay, this is uncomfortable. And it's a lot more calculated than we usually see, like even shaky cam. And that's another thing that I feel like is great about a female director, particularly Alma, because I watched a small clip. I'm not familiar with her work either. This was my first experience with her. I looked up a YouTube video where she's sort of talking about her process, and she is very aware about being a female director, how few of them are. And I think with that, when you're hyper aware of what you're doing, everything, you don't take anything for granted, and you also you're a lot more deliberate about everything. Whereas I feel like some of these male directors who don't have any trouble getting projects, who basically have people coming to them to do their work, might get a little lazy with certain things. Whereas Alma in particular is not getting lazy with anything. And you could tell, I felt.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wonder too, like we spoke of the implied sex scenes earlier. I wonder, if she has any input on that, where it's like you can show intimacy between two people without like a sex scene. So maybe that's also kind of why it was just more like, the hands game or just laying in bed together. I'd be kind of interested to learn if that was like in the script from the beginning or if that kind of switched around. But yeah, I think her touch on this whole movie was fantastic.
Not gonna lie, during the intimacy scene though, I was yelling at my computer thinking I was about to watch child porn.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna be on a list.
I was like, no, he's 12.
Just because he smokes does not mean he can give consent.
Yeah, exactly.
A cigarette is not consent. So we have a segment on here. We try to talk people into watching movies, whether the movie is bad or good. We want people to watch the movie and experience it for themselves, good or bad. And that's why we have a segment called the elevator pitch.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Essentially, you're stuck in an elevator with someone. You need to show them one scene in the movie to sell it to them. What movie, what scene are you showing them to get them to watch this movie? John.
Fuck. Sorry, Steve.
When you get the wrist rubber bands like Otis has in the movie, just like snap your rubber band every time. Name 4 things in the room. Yeah.
I think it would have to be that dream sequence that I brought up 7,000 times already. The one where he's standing in the doorway, they're watching the Even Stevens, and that would be it. If I couldn't like give a verbal pitch, if it is a visual one, that would be it. Yeah. A verbal one would be it's a gender swap, not musical, fucked up, updated version of Gypsy. Sorry, Steve. Well, because even in the movie, James, I believe that's the dad's name, right?
I think so, yeah.
James has a line that's similar to what's in Gypsy, the musical, which, got to tie in my podcast somehow. Where at the end of Gypsy, Mama Rose says something along the lines of like she was born too soon and started too late. And even James says something like that, where he's like, I was not the right time. This is you're it, kid, and everything. Yeah. So he's not, he is kind of like a stage dad, but like not as bad as they could get. So, the scene would be the the daydream of him telling him to be a better dad.
That's what I'm
saying. I mean, it's hard not to pick a scene between him and his dad, right? Like my initial pick was the first time we see them juggling together in the whole, if you drop it, you do 10 push-ups. And there's even a little bit of like equality, like they both drop the socks. And so, he says that at one point we're even, but then Otis drops the sock and then he has to do the push-ups. And you really see like the dynamic between the two of them. Like there's like this weird jealous respect that James seems to have for Otis. You know what I mean? Like he really does, I think, understand that his kid is good at something and is going to be something, but he also knows that he never got to do that for all the other reasons that he doesn't even realize that he's now doing to his son. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I just thought, like, if you really want to see like the dynamic that you're getting into in this movie, that's probably the scene I would show. But I do think it would be really funny to just show the cut sequence where we see James with Henrietta the chicken dressed up like the clown in the desert doing his little act for 30 seconds.
Yeah, doing the cartwheel.
I just want to show that to someone and be like, this is the movie. And
here we go. I like that. Mine was just that bathroom scene at the end. That line is probably like the biggest gut punch when, James is like, how like, I think as embarrassing it is or whatever, to be paid by your kid, like how hard, like all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that is a good one.
How do you think it feels for me to have my son talk to me the way that you talk to me? Have my son paying me? How do you think that feels?
You wouldn't be here if I didn't pay you.
Yeah, it was a mic drop.
It's like, it got me right in my heart. It's like
this kid win awards.
I don't know. I hope he got recognized because that was.
Keep going, kid. Keep acting.
Yeah,
seriously.
Like and subscribe if you're listening.
No,
come on the pod. Tell us your experience.
Loved you in The Quiet Place. Loved you in The Undoing. Please come on the pod. But that line just really hit me so hard. And then it was also like quickly followed up by like my biggest laugh, I think, in the whole movie when James is like, I'm growing. He's like, I know, Dad, I can see it. He's like, no, fuck you. You can't see. I'm growing weed by the freeway. It's like, oh my God. It was like so good. Just take us right out of this moment. He's like, I'm growing. He's like, I know, Dad, I can see it. Like, fuck you. You can't see it.
That was also so perfect.
Like, so good.
It was like
that was a weird side storyline too. And I was just like, okay.
I don't know
for some weed.
what it was, but I thought it was, that line just really got me.
I'm growing, son.
I know, I see it.
No, fuck you, you see it. I'm growing marijuana on the side of the freeway.
First of all, it's worth noting that like this is the very first movie of Shia LaBeouf where I didn't feel like he was Shia LaBeouf in it. Like he was completely his dad. To me, he was just he was his dad.
Interesting,
because I feel like his character is so overbearing in all of his roles where it's like, yeah, that's this guy, but it's Shia LaBeouf. Like, yeah, he's Indiana Jones's bastard son, but it's still Shia LaBeouf. But this one, I felt like I forgot that you're Shia. I feel like you're your dad now.
Yeah,
but
this was a solid year for Shia performances also because the Peanut Butter Falcon also came out in 2019. So this was like a solid 1-2 for Shia in 2019. That movie is so good if you haven't seen it.
Might have something to do with the help that he received.
Yeah, might be. Yeah.
Cool.
That one's great.
So my elevator pitch scene, I mean, one scene that just comes to mind, and this goes along with just like the visual rhyming that I feel like Alma brought to the picture, is the sort of celebratory like yell of young Shia or young Otis, and then the screaming in the forest. Because I feel like that sort of also encompasses like sort of the PTSD of everything in like sort of a small sequence. It's like, okay, we're seeing a dual story here, but that'd be my pitch.
But then would you show the next scene after that where he goes to that counselor to be like, I did it. Great job. Thank you.
Yeah. That's also such a good scene. He's like, I can't tell if you're being sincere. You're fucking with me. He's like, both. Yep.
Both. Yes.
Shout out Martin Starr. We're very pro Martin Starr on this podcast.
Indeed.
We are.
Now just hug yourself. Just hug yourself.
The pool scene is so good. Like, I love that.
So we also have a segment on here called the Adam Driver Drive-In Double Feature.
I just had sex. I'm about to eat nachos. It's the greatest moment of my life.
Where you get to pair this movie with any other movie because it's movie night and you get to show two. You get to show this one and one other. What are you showing and which are you showing first? John, let's hear it.
Okay, so it's going to be a Shia LaBeouf-a-thon.
Yes.
So because I felt the similar vibes with this movie and this other one I'm about to say. So I think we're going to start with Honey Boy because it is a little heavier, and then maybe give out edibles, and then we're going to watch American Honey.
Oh my God, yes.
Am I invited? That sounds like a blast.
Yes, let's do it.
All right.
We start in 10 minutes, everyone. Well, because I mean, I it's been a while since I've seen American Honey, but like I felt like that was I did like Shia LaBeouf in that movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like I know Matt, you were saying that like this is the first time you've seen him. Have you seen American Honey? Because like
I haven't.
I have not.
It's an A24, which is great because this felt like an A24 movie, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And like he's like second lead, so third, like not the lead, but like not like a random tertiary character. He's like somewhere in the middle there. So
okay.
Yeah, I'd put him down. Yeah, he's probably like the top co-star in that movie.
Yes.
Sasha Lane was like the lead of that. She was fantastic in that movie. Trying to like look up her IMDb. She was in the new remake.
She was in
Loki.
Loki.
She's in Loki. Yep.
Okay.
Hunter
She has the dreads.
Like
that's her signature. Like she has these dreadlocks that they make work in whatever film she's in.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's great. I mean, speaking of A24, Riley Keough is also in it, who's in Zola. So, yeah, I think it's that soundtrack is awesome. By the way, the American Honey soundtrack is so good.
Again, it's been a minute, but like I was getting similar vibes with it, you know?
Yeah, that's a great call. I went with a movie called Kid 90, which is a documentary. I've talked about it on here, I think maybe once before, but it was from Soleil Moon Frye, who people probably know best as Punky Brewster. But she, as a kid, as a child actor, like was one of the first ones to like really utilize a camcorder all the time, filming her friends and stuff. So she's like filming David
I've heard
Arquette,
of this movie.
Yeah, DiCaprio, Stephen Dorff, like all these people. She has all this behind the scenes footage, and it's just about them kind of like growing up in the system. And I thought it might be an interesting pairing, you know, after seeing a not fictionalized, but, you know, like a story told from Shia of the same kind of thing, you know, being a child actor, and how that can affect you, you know, and how, you know, affects your life. And then going into this, into Kid 90, where we kind of see the same thing. It's a different perspective from a female perspective. I thought it was really interesting, and I'm a sucker for like old footage, you know, like I'm all about that. So yeah, Kid 90 is so good. And I think it'd be a good pairing. So I'd go with Honey Boy first, and then we'll go into Kid 90 after that.
Where do the edibles kick in?
Whenever, man, like whenever you want it, I say tear it up. Like, it's free reign. So we'll give you one as you drive in.
I might take mine about halfway through Honey Boy, so I'm not like a wreck.
I think it's a good call.
One thing I like about this exercise is like the way that everyone ties their picks together. John, you went with just a straight Shia LaBeouf pairing. Ben, you went with the kid actor pairing. And for me, I liked the very first opening sequence with the fake out, you know, the movie fake out scene. Like, you realize like, oh, we're watching them film a movie. So just instant Tropic Thunder vibes. But it also does tie in because, you know, it's like Ben Stiller's an insecure actor trying to find his way. And it's, you know, two completely different stories, but it's not all that dissimilar if you think about it in those terms. So that's what I thought. I'd play Honey Boy first. I would take my edible about halfway through, so it's kicking in right when Tropic Thunder starts, and we can have ourselves a giggle fest, and we can, see the other side of the insecure actor coin with the movie.
I'm so ready for this.
I know, I'm ready for all of these.
Right?
Well, mine is not as fun. Not as fun.
We're dropping acid at Matt's. No edibles.
Requiem for a dream, everyone.
It's going to be a bad trip.
The witch. Here we go.
Yeah. No, I was getting. I mean, you have Shia going to this retreat and getting help, and it just reminded me a lot of The Sound of Metal, which is also a very beautiful, well-made movie that I really loved. And they're very similar in the ways that they receive help or reject help, and it's sort of the relationship of receiving help. That experience, which I'm sure is relatable to those who have needed it. But I really love that movie, and I feel like I don't know, I couldn't get it out of my head, so I'm playing Sound of Metal with this one.
I like it.
I still need to see
I don't
that.
think I've ever heard of this movie.
Oh, Riz Ahmed. You got to get on it. I need to see it too, but I know Riz is in it. I'm a big fan of the Riz.
Ooh.
Was Sound of Metal also through Amazon Studios?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think he was nominated. He was so good in this, and like slowly losing his hearing throughout the movie as well, which is interesting to see how they like kind of convey that. His performance is so good in this.
Okay. You sold me.
It's very good.
When do I take the edible though? Do I take it during Honey Boy? Or do I take it like right before I start watching Sound of Metal, so it kicks in and it's halfway through?
You'll take it right before you go to sleep.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Just to really bring you down.
Come down.
Okay, great.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap up the episode with our female director Rushmore Mountain, which is our top 4 movies directed by women.
These are OR scrubs. Oh, are they?
What do you got, John?
I wouldn't say I had a little trouble figuring this one out because the one that first came to mind was The Eternals, because I did like how Chloe Zhao did, and I feel bad because a lot of people are shitting on it, and I was like, but like she didn't film it in a soundstage like the other fucking Marvel movies.
Yeah, exactly.
We saw real trees, everyone.
Yeah.
And then I did have to look up like other female directors, and the other one I tried to hit like different genres. So I wrote down Eternals for Chloe Zhao, Promising Young Woman, which I thought was amazing. Have you guys seen that movie?
So good. I love that movie so much.
I got a great endorsement from Ben. I've yet to see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It is it just watch it.
I mean, best use of Paris Hilton in a movie, right? I mean, like Stars Are Blind, like them singing that in the convenience store is so good.
Sold.
Who's in it? Who's the lead? Is it Carrie?
Carrie
Mulligan.
Yeah. And Bo Burnham's in it, and like they cast a lot of kind of like the young guys that were in like TV movies as like really shitty assholes, which are great.
Adam Brody is a douchebag. Sorry, Steve.
Nick Lovin's
wait,
in
does
it.
that one count? Do we count that one?
We're counting it.
Sorry,
Steve.
So I also wanted to throw in Across the Universe because I haven't seen Titus yet, but what she did for what's her name again? I'm really bad right now. Julie Taymor, that's it. What Julie Taymor did with Across the Universe was beautiful and very theatrical in a film version. And then I'm gonna throw a curveball and say American Psycho.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay.
Their early work was a little too new wave for my taste. But when Sports came out in '83, I think they really came into their own, commercially and artistically.
You're welcome.
Nice. So I actually didn't know I forgot that was directed by a woman. That's another one.
I saw it on a list and I was like, I'm adding it because I mean, if you read the book and then watch the movie, what they did, they like toned that book down a lot. So,
for sure.
Still made it very scary and very entertaining. So,
yeah, the book is bananas. I read it and I was like, I kind of regret that. That was a tough read.
There was a section, I believe it was the section called "Killing a Kid at the Zoo," where after I read that, I was like, "We're done for the day."
Yeah, we're calling off here.
You know, take a shower. This is
surprisingly that's not in the movie. What?
It's not
shocker. Well, a lot like you, John, I have to go through lists anytime we do this. Like my recall just does not work in this way. The one I didn't have to think about was Point Break. That's almost like that's almost becoming like a parody of itself at this point, how much we bring Point Break up on this podcast. But it is one of my favorite movies, so it's got to be on my female director list. Lost in Translation popped up. I've always loved that movie. I don't know. I still don't know why I like that movie so much. You know what I mean? Like
and that's okay.
I really can't describe it. I think it's just like the I guess I can relate to. I've traveled a bunch in my life, so I can relate to being in hotels and being in new places and meeting new people. And maybe that's what it is. I'm not too sure. And maybe it's just because it's a really good movie. Who knows? Lady Bird actually popped up in my head without looking at a list.
Miss Patty assigned you a role, by the way. You just never showed up to claim it. What role? The Tempest. There is no role of the Tempest. It is the titular role. No, it's a made-up thing, so we all can participate.
I saw that when it came out at an art house theater in Portland. That was a really cool experience. Saw that with my girlfriend. Absolutely loved it. And then when I had to go to the list, I saw Clueless, which doesn't make my list, but by the same director, Amy Heckerling, who I learned literally, 40 minutes ago that she directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I didn't know that. I thought it was directed by some dude. I had no idea. But I love that show.
If you watch them back to back, you're like, they're so different, but same in
a
way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I put I edged out Clueless for Fast Times.
Wait a minute, there's no birthday party for me here. Oh, Mr. Hand.
Got it. Anytime I can get Spicoli in my list, I'm gonna do it.
There you go.
I will also honorable mention Clueless because they skyrocketed like the teen movie for the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm going to be bold and say that.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid choice. I think everyone knows at this point that for Tyler and I, it would just be Point Break 4 times, in our heart. It's probably what this Rushmore would truly be.
Buddy, this is your fucking wake-up call, man. I am an FBI agent.
But yeah, I got to put Point Break on there as well. I'm going to do The Farewell, which we have watched on here before the pod started, but when we were still doing our own thing. Lulu Wang, that movie is great. Awkwafina's awesome. It's beautiful. I'm going to cheat and kind of do a double Penny Marshall here, Big and League of Their Own. I'll go with Big. I think we might hear about League of Their Own a little bit, but I just think she's just a great director. And then, I'm going to throw Clueless on mine. That makes my Rushmore for sure.
They're just like these nervous creatures that jump and slobber all over you.
Ew! Get off of me! Ugh, as if.
Honorable mention here is The Matrix for Lily and Lana Wachowski. Like it probably should make my list, but it wasn't ones that came to my mind initially. But we are going to be talking about that over the summer, going over the trilogy. So I'm excited to dig more into The Matrix at that point.
Oh, you're gonna watch the sequels? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm actually kind of excited about it.
Oh, guys, I'm gonna be busy that day, so please don't.
I was gonna say, let us know which one you want to come back for.
Super busy during the
summer's just
whenever
so
that's
busy.
gonna be. I know I'm busy. I just know.
Sorry, Ben, you're breaking out. I gotta go. Bye.
Appointments. So busy.
The man in demand.
Well, I mean, my Point Break is a movie, an unsung gem that's come up over and over again, directed by Nora Ephron, which Ben got me on an ornament. That's my favorite Christmas decoration. directed by
I mean,
Nora
this
Ephron.
movie is literally the genesis of our whole unsung rounds gimmick. It's like it's become
the
a whole
unsung
thing on
gem.
It is the unsung. It's the gem.
It's the original unsung gem,
Yeah.
and it is called Mixed Nuts. It is a Christmas movie starring Steve Martin,
Rita Wilson,
Juliette Lewis, Rita Wilson, Adam Sandler.
Have you seen Mixed Nuts, John?
No.
Oh, John, my dude, you got to see this thing.
Oh, this movie sounds
Liev
wild.
I mean, it is. We've talked about it before when we came up with the unsung gems idea. It's like a movie that like we love, we think is great, that like no one's ever heard of. Matt, put out his nomination and I read about it. It's like, I don't think he understood. Like, this is supposed to be like a good movie that we love that like no one else knows. And now it's just like, it's part of the Christmas rotation. Like it's great. So yeah, you've got to see it. It's, I don't know. It's so good. Liev Schreiber and it's so good.
Yeah. Put a sticky on that one for the holiday season. And
please, I'll probably watch it when we're done with this.
You got
all the better. All the better.
Madeline Kahn, like, I don't know. There's a part where she's in an elevator and just like singing and rapping to herself, and it's so good. It's
sold. I mean, you had me with like the other names, but you really sold me with Madeline Kahn rapping in an elevator.
It's really good stuff.
So that's taken slot number 1 to no one's surprise. It's my Point Break. Then I'll follow it up by Clueless. That seems popular amongst all of us. Mm-hmm. And I'll go A League of Their Own, has been alluded to. Love that movie. And I'm going to throw in Now and Then. We're talking about past, present movies. Let's go Now and Then.
What's that show? I don't know if I know that one.
Who directed
You don't know Now and Then?
I don't think I do. Maybe I do.
Christina Ricci. She loves Now and Then stories.
It's
Shout
like,
out.
it's this group of 4 friends that like, that you see them in their childhood and then they're in the 90s and then they're in like the 70s or something like that. Where there's like, is it Kirsten Dunst, Christina Ricci, Winona Ryder, I believe, is in it. Like any female
cast. Demi Moore, Thora Birch, Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes,
Gabby
I did want
to. Rita Wilson once again doubling down, Matt. I like it.
I
get 2 Ritas on your Rushmore.
I wish I had more Ritas.
It's just like a good feel good movie, It's not like. I don't remember like what the story really is. I just remember, feel like when you said it, I was just like, that's a good movie. I could also be lying to myself because it's been decades since I've seen it. But
I think, yeah.
I need to watch it again.
Might not even know what it's about because it just says 4 12-year-old girls grow up together during an eventful small town summer in 1970.
Right, but then then they're like come back together for like a high school reunion,
nice.
Or they're brought back together by some force, and you see them now and
Bonnie
then.
Hunt. Yeah, I like this.
Oh, cool. Check that out. They did
just
the
like
thing.
in the
They
title.
said the name in the thing.
We some sort of Suicide Squad? Yes, exactly. It's like in the movie.
Also, we could have done movies that say the title in the movie. Rushmore for this movie.
Oh, that would have been really good.
That's right. We'll save that one for later.
We'll have to do it again. Yeah.
Put that in the pocket.
Okay,
cool.
I'll be readily available for that one.
Perfect.
Well, the Matrix. They say the Matrix in the Matrix.
Oh,
so.
The first one, yes. I'll do the first one.
Okay.
I'll be there.
This seems like a Matrix Revolutions.
I rewatched the trilogy before the 4th one came out, and watching 2 and 3 like really did hurt me on the inside.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Because like really, all I remember is the sexy rave at Zion and him being Jesus at the end. That's all I really remember.
I'm just picturing you like putting on Requiem for a Dream to cleanse your palate. You're like, oh, these Matrix sequels are awful. I gotta watch something good here.
Oh no, it was probably a Fast and Furious movie. I can't remember.
Oh, nice, even better. It's all about family.
Family. Awesome. They went to space. Come on.
What's next?
Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this trip to visit, Honey Boy, to celebrate the narrative directorial debut of Alma Har'el.
Har'el? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Har'el.
I also have trouble saying last names. It's fine.
Well, it's Israeli, and so like I'm not even saying it right. It's just how.
Has anyone written in yet to tell you that you're wrong? No? Great.
No, but please do. If someone's listening, please put in the comments. We want all kinds of engagement, even if you're screaming at us.
It's true.
Please just leave all your hate mail in there. Yeah, let us know. We want it. But no, thanks for listening. John, thanks for joining us. Do you want a second opportunity to plug your pods?
Yeah, so Movie Deja Vu and Life's But a Song, you can find them anywhere that you're probably listening to this. You can find Movie Deja Vu on Instagram at Movie Deja Vu Pod, and Life's But a Song, you can find at But a Song Pod on Instagram. I'm on other socials, but just go to Instagram.
That's just a one-stop shop. I like it.
Awesome. Well, seriously, thank you for joining us. It was a blast talking this movie with you, and we hope to have you on again. Not for the Matrix.
Not for the Matrix sequels.
and I would like to extend an invitation for you guys to come on one of mine if you want to. Like, just reach out if you're like, hey, let's do this musical, or hey, these two movies sound the same. Let's figure out a time to record, and we'll be like, sure, let's do it.
Perfect.
Awesome.
I like it.
Yeah, love it. Cool. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Just kidding. We've got 5 more minutes left.
Now it's after dark. Here we go.
Sorry, Steve, cool. Preemptively.
Yeah, this is where Steve, check out, please.
It's time for lunch.
Angelo, it's 10:30.
Right around that corner, there is a sandwich shop. They sell meatball sandwiches. Best I've ever tasted. Would you go get me 2? Come on, partner. 2. Thank you. Utah, give me 2.